Today, speaking about the release of American Alan Gross in Cuba and also an unnamed intelligence asset traded for the men known as the Cuban Five. And joining me now is Rick Herrero, a pro-democracy advocate and the executive director of Cuba Now. So, Rick, let's first of all get your reaction to the release of Alan Gross, but also the release of the second intelligence asset in exchange for the Cuban Five.
Well, we couldn't be happier that Alan is back home and just in time to celebrate the Hanukkah holiday with his family. Let's think about what really just happened here. We have the Cuban government releasing Alan Gross as a humanitarian gesture, and what we really exchanged were 3 Cuban spies for 1 American intelligent asset that we had that had been in jail for about 20 years in Cuba, who had provided information that led to the conviction of those spies. So it was this was not the traditional spy swap or prisoner swap that has been touted and criticized and advocated for by several groups over the last few years. It was something very different. We also got, as part of this package, the Cuban government to release over 50 political prisoners. So overall, I would think it's a very reasonable deal.
And obviously your organization is promoting the idea of democracy and democratizing the nation of Cuba. Do you see this as an opening, the fact that we could see the restoring of normal diplomatic relations between the two countries, as an opening that would actually change Cuba?
Absolutely. There is no better way to influence the future of Cuba than by playing a role in its present. By having diplomatic relations with the island, we're in a much better position to engage with the Cuban government on issues of mutual concern and also on issues when we disagree, and such as their ongoing human rights abuses. But it's a lot more efficient than just screaming from Miami, hoping that they'll eventually do what we think it's right.
Yeah.
As far as the other changes that were announced today, I think they are going to go a long way in helping and making it easier for Americans to help empower the Cuban people. Empower the Cuban people in ways that 50 years of blanket sanctions, frankly, weren't able to achieve.
And the polls do show that the American people do seem to, by and large, agree with you. We're going to talk a little bit later about some of the polling around this, but we really do appreciate you being here, Rick Herrero, and we will, of course, have more coverage on the Cuba Policy Exchange. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thank you for having me.